Today we're talking all about my top 5 rides at Universal Studios Florida. Let's get into it. So today again, I want to lay some ground rules. We're talking about top 5 rides at Universal Studios Florida. This does not include shows, does not include anything outside of rides. So it could be screen rides, it could be roller coasters, it could be indoor attractions, but it has to be a ride, something you get into a vehicle, you experience a ride, or a seat, or a moving walkway, but not a show where you sit in an auditorium and watch a stadium or a show or anything like that. So, Born Stuntacular is out, Animal Actors is out, but the things that are still in here are obviously the rides that you all know and love. So, today I'm going to share my top 5 in order from lowest to number 1 and explain why. So, coming in at number 5 is really a tie. And I know that's kind of a cop out way to start the episode, but I'll explain to you why. It's a tie between Jimmy Fallon and Rip Ride Rockit. And to be truthful with you, number 5 really is Jimmy Fallon. Number 6 would be Rip Ride Rockit. The only exception for Rip Ride Rockit, we'll just make it an honorable mention here. It jumps up a few spots at night during an event. So if there's, Cinesationals going on, I haven't ridden Rip Ride Rockit at night while that's going on because I haven't seen Cinesational. I haven't been in the park since it went live as a new show. But during Halloween Horror Nights at night, Rip Ride Rockit is really fun if you get the right train, the right seat, and it's not just beating you up. The reason it's so low on my normal list is that Rip Ride Rockit is a very, very inconsistent ride. Sometimes it's wonderful. Sometimes you feel like you just got beat up and it's just all over the place. I think the ride no longer stands out. It doesn't fit inside of Universal Studios really at all. Production Central totally made sense. Rip Ride Rockit, where you're creating a music video as you ride the coaster, made sense for Production Central. But all of that is gone. There is no Production Central anymore. It is all Minion Land or DreamWorks Minion Land. And that kind of makes the ride stand out in not a good way. And I believe, we'll talk about some predictions in another episode, but I do believe that Rip Ride Rockit is at the very end of its life. It's a roller coaster that's been around close to 15 years. It's not a very smooth ride. Although the wait times are still long, I think that's because there's not another big thrill ride and like a big attraction like that anywhere in studios. I think that's why the lines can get long sometime. But it's an inconsistent ride. It's a ride that breaks down semi-frequently. And it's just not a widely loved ride. I don't know many people who are just Rip Ride Rockit fans at a whole different level. Not to the same degree of Gringotts or Hagrid's or Velocicoaster or even Hulk. So that puts number 6, I guess, technically here, Rip Ride Rockit, but number 5 being Jimmy Fallon. And the reason for that, Jimmy Fallon's a fun ride. I know, look, if you get motion sick, Jimmy Fallon is probably not on your list. It'd probably be somewhere down at the bottom of the barrel with Transformers and Spider-Man and Forbidden Journey. But I enjoy Jimmy Fallon for a few reasons. I think the queue is really cool. Kind of takes me back to my childhood watching the late night shows growing up. Seeing Jimmy and seeing, all of the ones who've come before to do the Tonight Show. And the way the queue set up, hashtag the bear, like it's just a fun queue. The Roots doing the pre-show. I just think it's fun. And then the ride itself is fun. It's a 3D ride and, it is what it is. But it's thrilling and it's fun and it's a really, really nice break from the heat in that Florida summer. So I enjoy it. My wife really enjoys it. We have a good time when we do it. We very rarely go to Universal Studios and don't ride Jimmy Fallon at least once. But I can't say that same thing for Rip Ride Rockit. That's just not the case. There's often times where we skip it completely. The next one, number 4 on the list, is Gringotts. And the Escape from Gringotts is just cool. Without a doubt, in my mind anyway, the best queue, period. You walk into that bank, it is mind-blowingly awesome. The lockers, not so great, but the queue is awesome. The pre-shows are great. The elevator ride is awesome. The ride itself is really fun, really, really fun. It could be longer. I wish it was a little bit longer. I wish there was more elements of the coaster, not just the quick shifts between screens. I would love for it to be a little bit longer, but that's my only gripe, and that's a reason it goes down a little bit. But still, it's a fun ride, and it's one of those where you get to go through this really cool queue, and you get to ride a really fun ride, and you feel 100% immersed inside of the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. And for that, it's my number 4, which may be controversial, but it's my number 4. If number 4 was controversial, I think number 3 is probably going to be even more controversial, and that's E.T. And controversial because it's lower on the list than some people put it. Doesn't mean I don't love E.T. I absolutely love this ride. I adore it. It's just cool. I grew up watching it. I watched the movie as a kid. Scared the crap out of me as a kid. But it's a great, great movie, and it's a great ride, and it's a throwback more than anything. So if you wanted to have the chance to ride some of those old Universal rides, I never got the chance to experience it. The first time I went to Universal Orlando Resort was the year that Islands of Adventure opened, but we never went to Universal Studios. So I missed out on Twister and Earthquake and Confrontation and all those original rides, the Hanna-Barbera stuff, everything that was Universal Studios when it opened, the Boneyard, all of it. I never got to experience it. But I do love E.T., and it's the one ride that's been there since the beginning. So it's a fun ride. It's really cute. They've done a great job of keeping it up to date and keeping it fresh all these years later. And it's one of those that I go into, and is it thrilling? No. Is it the most intense? Definitely not. Is it the newest technology and the best animatronics? No. But it's a ride that I just have fun being on. And so it's always going to have a special place in my heart. And number 2 on this list is Men in Black. I love Men in Black, and that's the competitive person in me. I want to go in there and try and just rip the score all the way up as high as I possibly can. I think many of you who have Men in Black on your list anywhere is probably because of the incredible AC. I think they've got the best air conditioning in the entire property. When you hit that single rider line and you walk into that building, it's like life just gets blown in your face. It's just wonderful. Like, it feels so damn good. So it's a great break from the hot. It's a great break at any point, really, because it's always hot in Florida, so it doesn't matter if it's summer or not. It's just a nice break to go in and cool off a little bit. And then you get on the ride, and it's fun because it's competitive, and you're shooting all these different things and trying to compete against the other track and against the people who are in your vehicle. So I have a blast with it. I've never got the perfect score. I think my highest score was like 580-something thousand, which I still feel pretty good about. But not a pro, but I do enjoy it, and I love chasing that higher score, the gamification of it. And I think this is the perfect formula for a shooter game like this. I've done Web Slingers at Avengers Campus. Do not like it at all. Trash ride, in my opinion. I've done the Toy Story Mania at Hollywood Studios. Don't like it. Way more work than it's worth. I like the formula for Men in Black. I think it's you ride it, it's comfortable, it's fun, it's competitive, but you don't walk out with your arm hurting because you've had to do this little silly web slinging thing or pull on the little rope. It's like, I just, don't get me started on those. We'll talk about that, I'm sure, at some point in this show's existence. But that's number 2, and I'm sure, to no one's surprise, number 1 for me at Universal Studios Florida is The Mummy. The Mummy is thrilling. It's a throwback to me being younger and watching the Mummy movies. I love the Brendan Fraser mummies. I think the pre-show is great. The queue is great. The ride is incredibly fun. It doesn't go crazy fast, but it's still thrilling because it's in the dark. You got some airtime. You got some launches. You got some really cool shows or parts of that show. I just think it's a great ride. The single rider line is the pro tip. Do that. It's always quick. It's almost always, I don't want to say a walk-on, but very, very, very short wait unless the parks are at capacity. And even then, sometimes you can sneak right up. And wait just a handful of riders before you get on. And the good thing is, you know, being that it's four across on the trains, the single rider line does move pretty quick, unlike some of the other rides. Like Velocicoaster single rider line it crawls, it moves so slow because most people are in groups of two, and when they're two across, it just takes a little bit longer. Hulk is another great one, just like the Mummy. It's great for single riders. But the Mummy is just one of those rides that's been there for a long time now. It was a great replacement, a great addition into that park. And it just went through a pretty lengthy refurbishment, so we know we're going to have it for a long time. And it's perfect. You've got the stilt walkers out front that add to the vibe as you walk up. It's got great, easy, accessible lockers right before you get in. The ride wait time is usually it's almost always decent. Like you never feel like you wait too long compared to how much you enjoy the ride. I think it's the great perfect ride, and I can tell you that when it was down for refurbishment, that park drastically missed, or at least I drastically missed having that attraction open in that park. In fact, I spent more time at Islands of Adventure than I did at Universal Studios while the Mummy was down for refurbishment. So, without question, the Mummy is my favorite ride at Universal Studios Florida. So I'm curious. Follow me on X or Instagram and shoot me a message. Tell me what your favorite ride is at Universal Studios Florida. And again, if you're watching this on Facebook, a blast from the past. If you're watching this on YouTube, drop a comment below and tell me what your favorite ride is and why at Universal Studios Florida. I look forward to hearing all the answers. And if you're on YouTube, again, do the YouTube things, thumbs up, subscribe if you're interested in this type of content. Let me know what you'd be interested in hearing, or tips and tricks or anything related to Universal Orlando Resort and Epic Universe, or the events that happen at those parks, because I've been to them all and love them. So with nothing else to say, I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you being here. For those of you who've already subscribed, the feedback has been incredible. I appreciate it. Thank you for being here. We got a lot more in store and a lot of fun ahead. So have an awesome day, and we'll see you in the next episode.